It's Monday, you poor bastards. Welcome to the Edge of Liberty, October 28th, 2024. It is 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. on the East Coast. I'm your host, Sean. Hopefully you had a good weekend. Hopefully it was everything you wanted it to be. Have a ton to talk about today. Probably won't get to most of it as it is. Chat's fired up right here on the SHR Media Network. Simulcasted with our damn good friends over at KLRN. Oh boy, I'll tell you. There was so much news that happened in the last 48 hours. I can't even keep it all straight. The left has absolutely lost their mind. And I know you're going to say, Sean, you say this all the time. I do. But the response to the Madison Square Garden rally held by Donald Trump was so unhinged, was so over the top and blatant. They don't believe what they're saying, first of all. I don't know if you realize that if 95% of these talking heads that you hear don't believe half the crap coming out of their mouth. They try to relate it to the 1939 pro-Nazi rally that was held. By the way, the guy who ran that was a Nazi spy. He was charged with it, removed from the country, denaturalized, and imprisoned in Germany afterwards. Now, let's just start there, okay? And then the joke heard around the world was said, okay, wasn't it bad taste? It was an insult comic. You know, the Trump campaign already said, hey, we didn't pre-read his jokes. We didn't screen it. Like, you know, this wasn't really on us. He did what he did. George Lopez, by the way, made a joke the day before at a Kamala Harris rally that if you leave the border wall stuff out too long, guess what's going to happen? It's going to get stolen, inferring that Mexicans will steal it. Now, are we too sensitive as a nation? Abso-friggin-lutely. Yes. 100% yes. We are way too sensitive. We used to have a lot of insult-style comics. It's starting to come back more and more the last couple years. Right? And people just... society is too sensitive. And why? I hate it. I absolutely hate it. But society is too sensitive. The reality of the situation is the left has been programming their people for years to be that sensitive. That way, when they start losing, or it looks like they might lose, and they start coming unhinged, they get to call everybody Nazis like they have for years. This isn't a new tactic. Maybe the MSG thing, how they did it. I know there's an Uncle Roger joke there. I can already hear Rick over at KLRN playing the skit, but maybe the Madison Square Garden rally it was an easy thing for them to highlight. And MSNBC, ran this whole skit, and I'm not going to play it because it's easy to find, where they were talking about the correlations between the Trump rally and the Nazi rally of 39, and they were showing video of the Nazi rally of 39 to try to infer it's the same thing, except for the people of color that were not only speaking, but in the crowd, the Jews that were in the crowd and on stage, the fact that it was a pro-American and had nothing to do with Nazis, but they're saying, oh, it has that feeling of it. Do you remember when Joe Biden a couple years ago came out in Pennsylvania with the red backdrop? That didn't, when we say, hey, they're going towards socialism, and then they do something like that, and then they get mad when you call it out, but they want to act like this rally was, despite the fact of all the other people that have held rallies there. It is a dog whistle because they're scared. They're scared of losing power. Good day in the chat room. I'm saying hello. I have a couple people in chat. If you want to chat on YouTube, you can just like, subscribe, say hello to us in chat. Also over on X, chat's open. Rumble, there's chat. There's chat everywhere. If you could like and subscribe, though, and anywhere you're watching this outlet or follow me on X, I'd appreciate it. At the number 2 against tyranny. But this is what they've done. They've spent years programming people to respond to dog whistles, Antifa, BLM, all of these little groups who've been causing violence for years. They always want to point back. Madison Square Garden is going to be their new January 6th. AOC actually floated that. I think it was on MSNBC Sleaze. Oh, this is a mini January 6th. There was no violence. They packed, by the way, in New York City, they packed the Madison Square Garden, and reports are they could have done it at least twice with the amount of people who waited outside and watched the rally from outside. In New York City, there was no violence. They wanted there to be violence. They sent agitators there. There's agitators all over the video. I mean, all over the internet, a video of agitators trying to get people engaged. I think conservatives are too smart for that now, by and large. I think they know there's always going to be agitators. I think we know that. We've learned lessons. But they have, for years, built up people's emotions. You see that with the Puerto Rican joke. He made a joke that the island was made of trash. Now, I know there's all these reports of they're having a refuse problem. It's not even the point. Why do you... I don't like when people go down defensive roads you don't need to go down. It was a dumb joke. I personally didn't even think it was funny because it wasn't funny, not because people's feelings were hurt. I just didn't think it was like a landing joke, right? It still does not matter. What matters is the left has turned around using that rally, using that joke, which is all you're going to hear about for the next 9 days or 8 days to elect our next president. This is all you're going to hear about. 100% guaranteed they're going to jam this down your throat. But what they're saying is anyone who's insulted by this video, you're not logical enough or intelligent enough to realize it was a joke for what it is. That's it. That's what they're saying. You're too dumb to say, no, it's just a stupid joke. No, they want you to go, I was going to vote for Trump, which they weren't. We all know they weren't anyways. But now this joke came out, and I am more emotional, and I am less logical now. And instead of setting myself up for a better future for me and my family, fiscally, public safety-wise, health-wise, all of that stuff, I'm now going to vote for Kamala Harris because I am so short-sighted. I am such an emotionally triggered human being that I can't use my brain, and now the Democrats are telling me I should be mad. That's what they're saying. They don't realize how that is more insulting than the joke is. If you don't like the joke, you don't like the joke. If you want to see incel comics in front of, first of all, the Al Smith dinner was what, just 2 weeks ago? And there were some unbelievable jokes made by everybody there, and they were all funny in that context. And they were actually. The House Agenda was hysterical. Go back to Don Rickles, right? Go back to old SNL, 70s, 80s. Look up Chevy Chase, Richard Pryor, SNL janitor. And you'll see what has happened with this country in humor. And now it's become a trigger point. It's gross what they will latch onto. Look, this Tony guy's funny. I've watched Kill Tony before. It's funny. It's crude. It's locker room humor. We know how much they don't like that. But if you're going to sit here and expect people to change their vote because they're emotionally upset over a joke where on paper is this long, that's more insulting. That's telling you don't know what's better for you. Think about that. And by the way, these are the same people that have joked about Trump getting shot at and shot. We have become the media knows what they're doing. Politicians know what they're doing when they try to trigger you with this. The problem is, as I wrote in an article, shrmedia.com, the article is called "A Republic If You Can Keep It." They know this. They've been doing this for years. They've been telling them to embrace their emotions and ignore their logic. The last thing that they want is for you to do the homework. They are doing what Goebbels did for the Nazis in the 30s. They want to throw Nazi going the other way? Read on Goebbels. He learned from Bernays, who was, by the way, Woodrow Wilson's propaganda guy. They told the lie until it was a truth. They picked a group of people and told them they are everything that's wrong and we have to demonize and eventually murder them. It led to a Second World War, the repetition of lies, the building of outrage, them being told that their nation was going to be destroyed if they didn't eradicate these people. They are literally acting like the Nazis that they alleged Trump and everybody at that rally was yesterday. And people fall for it. People on their own side fall for it. If you haven't noticed, the vast majority of attacks on Trump have been about his personality. He says some mean things sometimes. Yeah, he does. Okay. They only talk about his policies between the time the country got shut down for COVID, and then they forget to even mention COVID. Well, they've lost so many manufacturing jobs. I think, what was it? We just lost another 50,000 manufacturing jobs last month. And they talk about COVID. They don't talk, and then they'll turn around and say, well, we brought them all back. No, the country opened, just stop. But they can't. They won't talk about the border being secure under Trump. They won't talk about any of his policies because they can't talk about his policies in comparison to the last 4 years under Biden and Harris, because they get blown the hell out of the water. That's what happens. So they go after his personality. Does Trump give jabs at her personality? Yeah, but he also attacks her policies. They don't attack policy. They attack personalities and the people that follow them. And they've been doing it for years. And I think this weekend kind of broke that mold. I think, I could be wrong, and I'm not saying it's going to change people voting this time around, but I think what it's going to do is give people better insight down the road. Most Americans, outside of maybe like that 25% of absolutely insane, emotionally destroyed super progressives, I don't think most people agree that their neighbors who maybe are Trump supporters are horrible people. I know people who have friends. I have friends who are not Trump supporters. They don't think I'm a horrible person. Have I lost a few friends? Yeah, they go to that 25%. They're out the door. Oh, well, life sucks. Get a hummus. I can't help you. The chat room's going nuts right now. As I'm talking and I'm giving my little spiel, I'm just watching the chat roll just go nuts. And yeah, Bearded Duck in YouTube chat says they do it because Republicans in D.C. always cave so they don't get called mean names. Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. I think that's changing, but we need to have a logical argument, and it needs to be brought on a national level about the difference between emotions and truth and logic and facts. Truth is what everybody believes, but it doesn't always have to be factual. You know, a truth I believe is that when you're done with the shopping cart at a grocery store, it should go back to the little shopping cart thing or up to the front. So some poor kid doesn't have to do it, or somebody doesn't have a cart or whatever. It's just a nice thing to do. I think that's true. Is it factually obligated that you have to return the cart? No. No. Facebook user, I can't see your name. It's not showing me. This is what happens when they stop actually educating kids in school. Yeah, I agree. As I just said, I think this is what happens when you tell them to embrace their emotions and ignore logic. And you see it more and more. And you know what they hated the most about yesterday? More than Trump, more than the joke. You know what they hated more? How many Americans that didn't look alike, believe the same things, or were not just white guys that looked like me. That's what they hated more than anything, because they know, they've seen the polls, they see which way it is going. More and more people who are not fat white guys like me are starting to vote for their future because they're doing their homework. We do have people like Elon Musk to thank for that, because there's more information being sent out for people to actually be able to digest and do their own research. That scares them more than anything, because it's a loss of control. They had the corner market of control in the media, and now they don't, which is why they're demonizing Elon Musk. One of the many reasons. I'm going to get to another one after the break, but it is one of the biggest. It's why they want to. We've talked about it on this show a bunch of times. A bunch of our partners have talked about it. It's why Hillary and all the other ones are talking about limiting free speech on social media. Because when you lose control over the narrative that you have beaten into people's heads over and over and over again for years, you're going to start losing those votes. And that is what they more than anything. 20 past the hour. I'm going to take a break. Hey, look, if you're watching Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, wherever, like and subscribe, please. It helps us beat the algorithm. The algorithm, as we know, is absolutely brutal on shows like this and our other shows on SHR Media. Please subscribe to shrmedia.com. I'm going to grab a quick drink of water, and I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Welcome to River of Common Sense, where we cut through the noise of news and politics with a sharp wit and clear discussion. Tune in every Monday and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a refreshing dose of reality as we fearlessly tackle the tough topics with no nonsense just pure common sense. Visit shrmedia.com to discover where you can catch River of Common Sense in action. He's here to amplify your inner logic. He may not always be polite, he may not always be refined, but one thing's for sure, he always tells it like it is.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to The Edge of Liberty right here on shrmedia.com and our good friends over at KLRN Radio. Hey, election night. We will be live from 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. on the Pacific, until the duration. If they don't make a call, we'll decide when we shut it off. We are broadcasting with some great friends over at KLRN. We'll be checking in with them all night. Confirmed to be with us, the amazing Lonnie Poindexter, Big E, Earl Jackson, of course, Jersey Joe, of course, the bloviating Zeppelin. You will also be stuck with me. And we have other couple names that we're just waiting to finalize. So hopefully we'll find that. So check us out election night. We will cover the entire thing. Oh, Jeff Dunitz. I'm sorry, Jeff. I forgot Jeff Dunitz will be joining us. The Yid with Lid. So check us out, shrmedia.com, YouTube, everything else. We'll be here. We'll be doing what we can. So how unhinged is the left? And I'm going to talk about something that's going on in Philadelphia that is just absolutely ridiculous. Happening out of Philadelphia. But, you know, it's just, this is going to make me so mad. And it's going to make you mad too. And I just want you to watch this for a second. You have every right to be mad, by the way. Watch this little white girl. You see her? She's screaming in the face. This is outside, I believe in Houston over this weekend. Screaming in the face of a baby. I don't even know the whole setup, but they're all Democrats. I believe the father who had the baby in the stroller had a Trump shirt on or something like that, I read. But look at her in a baby's face. You think this is normal behavior? No. This is abnormal, evil behavior. And she screams and screams. Now, I want to show you the good thing that comes out of this as she's screaming. This woman right here. This woman is with the black shirt and the gold chain who's stopping her. That was one of the things I held on to this weekend where I'm like, man, I still have hope. I still have hope that maybe common sense could show up again in this world. She's pissed. Look at her face. And she says to her, and if you watch the whole thing, I'm not going to play the whole thing. She says to her essentially, like, what the hell are you doing? This isn't what we're here to do. This is, you could tell, like I said, I think it's like the mom instinct kicked in where she's, was like, whoa, you want to get mad at the dude? Fine. You can get mad at the dude, but no, you are not going to be screaming in that woman's face. So that gave me a little bit of hope. Oh, just a little bit. It shows that even some on the other side have some common sense left in their head. Speaking of common sense and not common sense, they hate, as we know, Elon Musk, which, by the way, I said to a few people this weekend, I think Donald Trump looks at Elon Musk like another son. If you watched yesterday where he was talking about how how SpaceX caught the rocket booster that landed, and how he called him 4 minutes later. I think he does. I really think, I don't think it's necessarily just political. It may have started off as political, right? They had some political agreements, but I'm starting to think that Trump is starting to look like Elon as another son, because the pride he talks about Elon in, and it's pride in America, right? I mean, we're going back to space. We're doing the things that, outside of the earth, that's super cool, and it's technology, and it shows American ingenuity and trust and know-how and all the things that we are used to be known for. But when you see him talk about Elon, you can just tell it's a little bit different, and it's authentic. Look, that's what the Joe Rogan, I totally forgot to even tell you about the Joe Rogan thing. Millions, 28 million in the first 28 hours, something like that. It almost broke the internet. Great 3 hours. If you have a chance, watch it. They hated Elon. I'm sorry. They hated Trump on Rogan because one of the things that they hate is when Trump looks relatable, when he's got a sense of humor and he's human. They hate that. That's they because they can't counteract that. And the Rogan interview is super good for Trump and how he came off. And he came off really well, because they're not even talking about it anymore. Hey, Phantom, thank you for joining us. They're not even talking about it. It's gone by the wayside. They have 100% switched gears into the Madison Square Garden thing. The best you're seeing on X right now and other places is like 4-second clips where they have zero context, where it looks like he's saying something a little douchey, which it's not. If you watch the whole clips, they're not. His joke about being a whale psychiatrist was the funniest damn thing ever. And his point was, which somebody was like, oh, he just sitting there, a whale psychiatrist. What the hell's that? If you look at the whole context, talking about the windmills in the Atlantic Ocean, how when they spin, they vibrate, and it messes up the whale's ability to be able to migrate and navigate. And he made a joke like, I wish I could just be a whale psychiatrist. And people went batshit crazy over it. Pardon my, oh man, I broke my rule. I broke my afternoon rule. I'm sorry. I totally forgot to use this. There it is. I don't even know where the dump button is. It tells you how little I think about it. So when Elon announced that he was going to start doing this America Pack, and they were going to start giving away $1 million for people to just register to vote, not who to vote for, just, hey, register to vote, make sure your name's on the list, make sure you're doing your part to pick your future in this country, which they don't care. It's funny what they care about when money is dumped into elections. They don't talk about Soros. They don't talk about Gates. They don't talk about all that money that flows in on the left. But as soon as an Elon shows up, and I don't know if anyone remembers, they went quiet, and I think that they don't like Trump, and I'm sure someone will correct me in chat room, probably BZ, who's moderating, and I think Joe's moderating in chat right now. They don't talk about the Koch brothers anymore, but they used to attack the Koch brothers. The Koch brothers were the boogeyman that were going to sneak into your kid's room in the middle of the night and abduct them and put them into mines. Remember how evil the Koch brothers were? Right now they're doing that to Elon. Why? Because Elon's doing what Silicon Valley, Soros, and the other ones been doing for years. They're pumping huge money into the campaign. They don't like the fact that the odds are evened out a little bit. It scares them. Again, it's that loss of power that makes them freak out. And then you wake up this morning to this.
We're breaking news. Philadelphia's district attorney is suing to stop Elon Musk's voter lottery. The richest man on planet Earth is a very public supporter of former President Trump. And through his America PAC, Musk has been giving away $1 million every day to a voter in a battleground state. The Department of Justice has warned that this giveaway might violate federal election law. We're breaking news.
Okay, let's talk about this for a second. First of all, it's not necessarily a lottery, because a lottery is actually something you buy into, right? This is a giveaway. This isn't a 50-50. This isn't gambling. This isn't anything. You literally, it's no different than Publishers Clearinghouse, except it is the way you qualify is to sign up to vote. Get out the vote was such a big thing a couple years ago, right? Think about all the money that was dumped in that. Remember, Rock the Vote on MTV. It's been happening for years. Get out and vote. It is one of the most amazing rights that we have as a nation to be able to choose our leaders. We can talk. I know people will be like, well, are we really choose it? It's another conversation. All right. For the context of this argument, stay in the pocket with me. We're not going to roll out and scramble. We're going to stay in the pocket. This is one of the most important things the founders gave to us, is making sure that we had that right to vote. And when I say founders gave to us, what I mean is they put it in the Constitution. It is an unbelievable right. It is a responsibility. It is a duty. I know Joe's laughing right now, but it's something that we have to do. But what have we seen? There was a long time that we're having record low numbers in voting because people are getting sick of it. So they wanted to get out the vote. And of course, they wanted to get out the vote into the youth because the youth had a tendency to vote left and that helped them out. But here we are today. What you may not know about the Philadelphia DA is Soros gave him $1.5 million to get elected. He's one of those Soros DAs like Gascon and the guy in New York City. I can't think of his name right now. The round one. He's one of the ones that doesn't prosecute people for actual crimes. He kicks them out like crazy and the city's going to hell. That's who the Philadelphia DA is. He is a Soros DA. He's a garbage human being. That's what it comes down to. I knew when Josh Shapiro, you remember Josh Shapiro? That was the guy that I'm convinced Kamala didn't pick because he was Jewish. When he said, well, we're going to be looking into this. He was an attorney general at one point. And then the DOJ sent a letter saying, this might not be legal. How come? How come this money's not legal? When he's not saying you can only sign up for this if you vote for Trump. Well, it can be inferred that you need to, blah, 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 blah. Well, if you think, what are you calling voters stupid? I'll tell you right now, even if you're a full-blown progressive Democrat, you absolutely are an idiot if you don't sign up for this. You get $1 million out of it. It doesn't, your party affiliation doesn't matter, right? It is bringing awareness. It is no different than any other get out the vote. It's just, he's giving away a bunch of money for it. And that's what they hate, is because it shows that you have options, and they don't like that. They don't like you to have options. Why? Well, because so many of them are 110% like this guy. This guy is going to tell you what happens. Oh, man. Wait. I was laughing when I saw this, but this is sadly where some of the country is. Watch this.
Case scenario, Trump gets reelected. Here is the game plan if that happens. The general rule of thumb from now on is, will the MAGA heads use it to attack someone? If so, keep your mouth shut. You no longer know that any of your trans friends are trans. You no longer know that any of your non-Christian friends are non-Christian. You no longer know that any of your friends, family, or neighbors are left-leaning at all. Anyone that you don't know tries to talk about politics around you, you shut that shit down immediately, because that is fishing for information and people they can report. Anyone tries to instigate a protest or a riot, they are also fishing for people that they can report. Anyone you know who is an immigrant, you are now going to tell anyone who asks that they have been living in America their whole lives. Because if you are not among the people who need to flee for their own safety, you are part of the people who are helping them flee. You do not brag about the people you have helped. You do not tell others about the people you have helped. You keep your mouth shut about all of it on every single possible forum. Anyone asks you about politics, you reply, who has time to talk about politics? And nothing else. Someone asks you your opinion on global warming. You say, I don't talk about politics. Someone asks your opinion on wages and unionization. You say, I don't talk about politics. Someone asks about your opinion on the basic rights of other people. You say, I don't talk about politics. It's going to hurt, but that's what's going to help.
And it goes on and on. Unhinged. Totally unhinged. Oh, yeah. No, he is absolutely out of his mind. But this is the scare tactics that are being used right now. You know, I want to show you. I didn't have this ready, and this is on me. And give me a second while I talk about this. It shows you that the fear mongering that they are doing right now and attacking anybody over everything. Here it is. This is a friend of mine on X. Her name is Heidi Briones. Oh, come on. There it is. This is her and her wife showing that they voted for Trump. This had 57.3 million views. The amount of people who were telling her, now, she's run for office. She's highly intelligent. I've read her stuff. She has a blog. I've listened to some of her Google Spaces. They are telling her she's going to be put into concentration camps. They're telling her, and if you go through that feed, if you go through some of the horrible things that people said about her because she exercised her right to vote for Trump and her wife did. It's absolutely crazy. Who's the hate mongering party? Who's the party that wants to shut down anything that's not, straight white men? It's the left telling her, oh, you're going to be in the Camp Mar-a-Lago and all that other stuff. And she actually made a great joke. She's like, oh, the food and drinks will be great then. I hope I get sent to Camp Mar-a-Lago. Yeah, me too. I'd love to get sent to Camp Mar-a-Lago, right? But it shows you the insanity and the levels that they will go to fear monger. Trump has let gay couples get married at Mar-a-Lago. Trump was one of the first candidates to come out for gay marriage. If he was going to throw gay and lesbian couples in jail, he had 4 years to do it. This guy is the worst Hitler ever. The worst. Because he hasn't done any of the Hitler shit that they said he's going to do. They're fear-mongering cowards. It's so infuriating, so maddening, and they are insane. They're the ones who won't let Jewish students at universities go to school because of the Palestinian war, and they've attacked them for it. They keep showing you who they are and then pointing the finger at us and saying it's actually you. No, it's you. You're monsters. I'm up against a break. I'm going to grab a drink, get the blood pressure back down, probably take some meds. Remember election night right here on shrmedia.com, YouTube, Facebook, of course, with our friends at KLRN. If you're watching, please like, subscribe, help us beat the algorithm, share it with your friends, sign up at shrmedia.com. Do us a favor. You see that? You see that? Buy me a cup of coffee, buy me a cup of bourbon, bottle, gallon, whatever suits you. I'd really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Be back right after.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Edge of Liberty. Join me right here on the SHR Media Network every Monday and Friday, 12 on the Pacific, 3 on the East Coast. On this show, we'll discuss news, politics, the government, how cranky we are about the government, and more. If you want to hear hard talk, good interviews, sarcasm, bad jokes, and oh God, that really is me in a nutshell. Either way, check me out right here on the Edge of Liberty every Monday and Friday, 12 Pacific, 3 on the East, on the SHR Media Network. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Edge of Liberty right here on the SHR Media Network. 8 days from the election. Are you tired yet? I don't know. It's one of those things like I saw on X the other day. Somebody said, what are we going to talk about after the election? We're going to have plenty to talk about. Sadly, I think we're going to have a lot of news to talk about, and it probably isn't going to be great because the response from the left, I fear, will be like we've seen in the past. But in case you were bored yesterday and you literally had nothing to do with your life, because like nothing. And when I say nothing to do with your life, I mean not even trim your fingernails. You could have done the stream that was done yesterday by AOC and Tim Waltz playing Madden. A couple different things. Remember, Tim Waltz was supposed to be a football coach. And he posted, this has been deleted. At AOC can run a mean pick six, and I can call an audible on a play. Oh, boy. First of all, you don't call a pick six. That is literally every defender, what they're trying to do anytime you put the ball in the air. You don't have to know a lot about football to know that you don't call a pick six. And then the older millennial, I don't have it up. The older millennial posted a screenshot on his X that showed you that Tim Waltz's controller wasn't even on. None of it's real. None of it. None of it is real. Oh, man. Oh. And you want to know, like, I have so many things. Like, I'm trying not to end the show in an angry way because I've been ranting and raving this whole time and loud. Actually, this whole time I've kind of been acting like this.
All of you. Talking about you, it's us. He's not going to, say, oh, you're with a white guy. I'm going to keep you from being deported. No, he's going to deport you and put the white guy with someone else. The man is out there. He's also,
All right, maybe not that bad. Maybe I'm not that bad. Maybe I'm not Whoopi level of insane. By the way, one of the things that people don't talk about, when they're going after, and we're talking about immigration, they always say, well, I can't believe how many Democrats just come out and say this. Who's going to pick your vegetables if you get rid of all the illegals? What? How has that not been a thing of like, hey, maybe you guys should stop assuming that every single illegal that comes in this country goes sent out to the field. Right? It's the most insane thing I have heard as a reason to put the wall up and stop crazy immigration. Who's going to pick your vegetables? That's all they're good for? You're mad over a Puerto Rican joke when you're saying that that's all immigrants are good for? Is going to the field and picking vegetables and fruit? That is absolutely what they talk about as quiet racism. That's what it is. It's just, by the way, it is illegal for you as a company or any company to employ illegal immigrants. A lot of people don't know that. When they talk about them, who's going to pick your vegetables? What they're saying is, hey, we understand that a whole bunch of companies and farms operate illegally and we do nothing about it. And who do they think is going to change that? This genius.
Blacks for Trump. Mm-hmm. They feel that Trump is better for the black community. Can you explain the Donald Trump's history with blacks? Where did this come that all of a sudden, I mean, it's been like this because a lot of people used to say, I'm Donald Trump of the ghetto, because he was, I mean, for a lot of blacks, not all, but for some blacks, he was, Madam VP, whether we want to admit it or not, he's revered by some blacks.
But here's the thing. The question for everybody, should he be president of the United States?
Okay.
Right? That's the question. Should he have the ability to sit behind the seal of the president of the United States when he says he wants to terminate the Constitution of the United States? You know what that would mean? In the Constitution of the United States is your Fourth Amendment right against unreasonable search and seizure, your Fifth Amendment right, your Sixth Amendment right to an attorney.
Well, a lot of rights going to be gone. The First Amendment.
But Kamala, how come, first of all, how come you didn't answer the question? Right? He was asking specifically about why she is hemorrhaging voters in the black community and other communities, but specifically the black community. This was released today, by the way, on Club Shay Shay or whatever it's called. It's on YouTube. How come her first one was the Fourth Amendment? Why is she insinuating that every black guy is getting themselves arrested and they should have to worry about the Fourth? Now, by the way, I don't know anywhere in Trump's policies that he's talking about removing any constitutional rights. By the way, he can't just do that. And this is another insight into how dumb they think their followers are. He can't just change the Constitution. As a matter of fact, to remove amendments for the Constitution is an incredible process. We don't have enough time to go through the top and bottom of it. But it's not just he's going to get in office and sign and change. He's going to take away your Fourth Amendment rights to unlawful search and seizures. He's going to make you board military members in your home. No. You notice and actually I'll give Shannon Sharp credit because he brought up the First Amendment. At least he brought that up first, because that is an actual topic that we're talking about when the left is calling to make changes to social media to stifle the First Amendment. But they wouldn't do it by removing the First Amendment. No, they would do it through the administrative state. They would absolutely do it like the ATF makes their rules and FCC makes their rules. Unelected bureaucrats would add language into the administrative state BS jargon that would limit it. The administrative state has nothing to do with your Fourth Amendment. I mean, can it be violated? Yes. Could it be violated with the pen and paper at some point? Yes. But it's not the same as adding a rule via the FCC or whatever and then prosecuting people for it. And she didn't answer. You know why she didn't answer? Because she can't answer. Jersey Joe brought that up in the chat room just now. She can't answer it because there's no answer to it. Her whole campaign has been doom and gloom. The doom spiral. That's all she's done is talk about how horrible Trump is as a person, not his real policies. You'll notice they ignore the real policies. And what do they like to throw out? And again, this just shows you how the left operates by and large. 8 days to go. This hit this weekend where we all know about Trump and McDonald's. We all know why he went to McDonald's, because Kamala alleged that she worked at McDonald's when she was a kid, even though nobody's ever been able to confirm it. And the left throws this out. This is the picture on the right's your original. AI has confirmed this. The picture on your left is the Photoshop with Kamala's young face attached to it. It is the same photo that has been absolutely doctored with AI. Except the woman on the right, this was from her a memorial webpage. She passed away of cancer in Canada. Think about they're so afraid that they will use a woman who died in Canada of cancers image to push their narrative. And why? Because they don't want to they don't want you to know who Kamala Harris really is. She has, I've said before, she's astroturf. She is absolutely molded in the liberal lab of California, and her whole career, she's just done what she was told to do. She's not a person, she's a persona. She is not real, which is why she can't answer any questions, because nobody's telling her what to say for the answers. It's why in some cases when she does answer questions, it has nothing to do with the question that's asked, because she's memorized a speech. She hears two keywords and vomits out what she memorized. But who is Kamala Harris? Kamala Harris is this.
Harris, let's get one thing crystal clear. The vast majority of American men have no issue with electing a female president. Our issue lies solely with you. You were second in charge of California for 13 years.
As California's Attorney General, Harris promoted enforcement of a law that allowed prosecutors to seek jail time for parents of truant kids.
As a prosecutor and law enforcement, I have a huge stick. So I decided I was going to start prosecuting parents for truancy.
I thought that was crazy. I was like, how can you lock parents up?
If you don't go to school, Kamala's going to put you and me in jail. Yes, we achieved intended effect.
I opened the door and I see at least 7 or 8 cops that wanted to arrest me. As a matter of fact, they did.
And frankly, you know the prosecutors in my office who volunteered to do this? My homicide prosecutors, my gang prosecutors. And they went over there and I said, when you go over there, look really mean.
She had me arrested and prosecuted because my handicapped daughter was sick in the hospital and had missed some days of school.
I learned that with the swipe of my pen, I could charge someone with the lowest level offense. That person could be arrested. They could lose time from work and their family maybe lose their job. They'd have to come out of their own pocket to help hire a lawyer. They'd lose standing in their community.
I lost my job and couldn't pay rent, and we got evicted.
Weeks later, I could dismiss the charges, but their life would forever be changed.
I became homeless. We had to move into a motel.
All because of the swipe of my pen.
I don't agree what Kamala Harris did to my mom. And I don't agree with what she's done to other parents as well.
You were second in charge of the United States for 4 years.
If anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Inflation is hitting the highest level in 39 years. A record high number of illegal crossings.
Crime's been surging across the nation.
Huge spikes in homicides.
Could we be heading toward World War III?
After 17 years of failed leadership, you are now asking us to trust you as first in charge of our country.
I am concerned and focused on big issues. Elementary and middle school truancy is actually a big issue. If we're trying to save the state money, because of truancy, California public schools lose $1.4 billion a year in funding. I want money.
My message to all Americans, do not trust Kamala Harris.
As men and protectors of women and children, you are simply a risk we are not willing to take.
Paid for by Maha Alliance.
That was one of the most powerful ads I've seen. It wasn't endorsed by any candidate. They say that at the very end. It was the Make America Healthy Again Alliance. One of the things that I beg that you take from that commercial and really think about is at the end where she said, I want money. That was her motive for prosecuting parents of truant children. Is truancy an issue? Yes. Do kids need to go to school? Yes. Are there parents out there that do not force their kids to go to school and that it creates a whole other? Yes, that's a whole other problem. But that wasn't her motive. Her motive wasn't for education. Her motive wasn't for the well-being of the children. She said at the end, I want to get the state money. I want money. Me. With a swipe of a pen. And then she talked about how she would arrest these people, charge them, prosecute them, and then drop the charge a couple weeks later, and everything that it would do to affect their lives. She joked about it. It was a joke to her. Cackle, cackle, cackle. But that's what she would do. The woman who lost her home, her child was sick and in the hospital, and she was prosecuted for truancy. She even said, I tell my investigators to act mean, be mean, look mean. Intimidation. If you look really closely, they always show you who they are. Trump did 3 hours on Rogan. He showed you who he was. Trump did 4 years as president. He showed you who he was. Do I agree with every single word that comes out of Trump's mouth? No. Do I know sometimes Trump's a showman? Absolutely. He's a showman. That doesn't mean he's an ineffective president. It doesn't mean that he's evil, and it doesn't mean that he's bad. The first 2 years of Trump's presidency, my life was better. I had more money in my pocket. The border was secure, and we weren't getting in any other wars. There's so many other things that you could lay down on the economics that were coming back before COVID. Do I think part of the economics was destroyed by COVID intentionally by the Chinese? I absolutely do, 100%. What people fail to talk about is just before COVID started, we entered a treaty that made us more money and made China less money, and China was pissed about it. With everything that I've seen that have come out since, I have no doubt in my mind. You got to remember, China is a communist nation. They will kill millions of their own people, and they don't care. It's about power and control. And they would absolutely kill Americans. Look at fentanyl. Fentanyl comes from China. Who is our bigger threat, despite what Kamala Harris says about Iran? China's our biggest threat. They intentionally export all of this stuff to make fentanyl to Mexico, who then, the Mexican cartels, make fentanyl and bring it up here and poison our youth. Intentionally, they're poisoning our youth. The fact that the cartels have not been deemed a terrorist organization is a travesty. And it will never happen with Kamala Harris because she doesn't see China as a threat. She doesn't see anything as a threat. All she sees is what she's told to see and what she's told to say. And that's who she is. She's AstroTurf. Folks, that's going to be it for me today right here on the Edge of Liberty on the SHR Media Network. Coming up tonight, 9 Pacific. 9 on the East Coast, 6 Pacific. Jersey Joe, the Reaver of Common Sense. Make sure you check out and stay if you're watching the KLRN feed. All of our great friends over there at KLRN. Tomorrow night, you have BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast. Please like, subscribe. Wherever you're watching this right now or seeing this right now, it helps us out so much. It makes all the world a difference. Do not forget, election night, we will be having our coverage for hours upon hours, and it's going to be amazing. It's going to be awesome, and I'll probably get drunk at the end, so you might want to stick around for it. Thank you so much for joining us. I will see you Friday, 12 Pacific, 3 East, right here on the Edge of Liberty.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Edge of Liberty. Join me right here on the SHR Media Network every Monday and Friday, 12 on the Pacific, 3 on the East Coast. On this show, we'll discuss news, politics, the government, how cranky we are about the government, and more. If you want to hear hard talk, good interviews, sarcasm, bad jokes, and, oh, God, that really is me in a nutshell. Either way, check me out right here on the Edge of Liberty every Monday and Friday, 12 Pacific, 3 on the East, on the SHR Media Network.